Okay, let's get started making these quick and easy fabric coasters. You're going to need 2 fabric squares 5 inches by 5 inches and 1 batting 4.5 by 4.5 inches. You're going to take one of the fabrics, put the right side down, put the batting in centered so it's even in the center of the square, and then take the other fabric and place it right sides up. Put a little pin. Now let's head to the sewing machine. Now we're going to sew a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So if I measure from the side of my foot over a 1/2 inch, if I go and put my needle position all the way to the left, that will give me a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I'm going to move my needle all the way to the left, and that way I can line up my fabric with the edge of my foot for an easy way to gauge my seam allowance. So from there to there is 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to line up my fabric right there. Needles all the way to the left, and I'm going to do a fixed stitch, or you can go forward 2 stitches and back 2 stitches to lock in your stitches. You always want to do that at the beginning and ending of your sewing. So we're going to sew this at 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I'm going to do needle stop down. On my sewing machine, if you don't have that feature, you'll just have to stop at the corner and lift up your foot and pivot. I'll show you that when we get to the corner. The needle stops down, and then I can pivot. See, I went a little too far, so I'm going to back up, hit my back button and back up 1 stitch. And now measure. And now that the fabric comes right to the edge, I know I can keep sewing straight. Whoops, I left it on backwards. Go forward. Now go forward. Pivot. And this one ended up perfectly right at the edge like that. And then you would put your presser foot down and keep sewing. Pivot and turn. Get this thread out of the way so you don't create a nest. There's nothing on the bottom there. Okay, so we're going to go to the edge, pivot and turn, and it should line right up with your last seam. And then I just do a fixed stitch, or you can go backwards and forwards 2 stitches, and that's locked in. Lift up your foot, cut your threads. And now let's head to the cutting table. I'm going to show you how we finish the edges. Okay, the last step is to just trim off the edges, and you'll have a complete coaster. You can use pinking shears to trim your edges, but I like using this rotary cutter that has a wavy edge. I'm going to cut off 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. There you go, quick and easy. This one I'm going to use pinking shears. The last one I cut with this, and I'll show you what the pinking shears look like to trim the edges. You just want to trim without going into your stitches. There you go, all done. Quick and easy and beautiful. I think the pinking shears are my favorite.